The following podcast may contain adult language and an abundance of spores, mold, and fungus. So who are you going to call? The salty nerds. We're talking Ghostbusters. Welcome and thank you for joining us on another episode of the Salty Nerd Podcast. Today we're talking the Ghostbusters franchise, Ghostbusters 1, 2, and The Abomination, Ghostbusters 2016. I am joined as always by my fantastic panel of nerds.
How do you know it's an abomination?
Because I watched it.
Jude might have liked it.
I doubt it.
Somebody at this table might have liked that movie.
I love that movie.
Oh, you
Liar. Lies. Deception. Every day, more lies. All right.
Yeah.
Matt Vader, welcome, sir. How you doing?
Hi. Man, I'm hitting the pirate hooch pretty hard today.
Yeah, you're going to be, by the time we get to the 2016 version, you're going to be freaking.
Well, that's the goal. I just started drinking like hour ago, right? And I'm feeling pretty buzzed right now, but I just want to be destroyed by the time we get to Melissa McCarthy and those other bitches. So, yeah.
Jude, prepare yourself. No. Seriously, there's gonna be some serious trash talk coming, Jude. You better be ready.
We went to coffee yesterday, just me and Vader,
Ooh.
and he mapped out his drinking plan for the day. He was like, "All right, when we start talking, I'm just gonna drink coffee, and then
That's it.
Second show, I'm just gonna have like maybe a shot, and then by the time we get to the middle, I'm just gonna pound, and then by the time we're done, I should be sober enough to drive home." And I was like, "That sounds like a plan, my man."
That's freaking Tuesday mornings, buddy.
That's Tuesday.
Welcome to the show, Jude.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. At the time of this recording, it is 12:02 p.m.
All right.
So let's check in with Vader. How drunk are you, Vader?
I'm good. I'm there.
All right,
He's
back
there.
to you,
I'm
Kadish.
Kadish is here, the frustrated producer of the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. And I'm very excited because I love Ghostbusters, and I don't understand why Alex doesn't like these movies all that much.
Well, I know why.
I didn't know that you didn't like these. You don't like any of them?
We'll get into it.
He's too young. That's basically it.
I mean, you're never too young for a good movie,
Guys,
though.
this is my first watch for
I know.
all of
Have
these movies.
you been slimed?
No. God. I roll.
You guys, that's why.
Nickelodeon. Bullshit.
Are you the gatekeeper?
Are you the key master?
You know what? For Sigourney Weaver, goddamn right. I'm the key master, motherfucker.
You're the gatekeeper or the key master.
Possessed Sigourney Weaver. Whew. All right.
Hot.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Before we get into it, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after a word from the sponsors, and then we're going to get into the first Ghostbusters movie. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support the podcast and get ad-free, awesome podcasts for every single month, go to saltynerdclub.com. You can get access to our Discord app and 2 years worth of behind-the-scenes stuff and extra videos that we put out there for our club members. Everything is ad-free. It's a great value. It's a great community. Thank you to all of our club members that have joined up recently. We really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. The community on Discord is fantastic. I love hanging out with those guys. And yeah, it's a lot of extra content. So if you like what we do here and you want more of it, that's where you're going to get it, saltynerdclub.com. And if you don't want to do that, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes. We're looking to get accredited with Rotten Tomatoes so we can get early screeners and other benefits for being, professional reviewers or whatever. Go to Apple iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. Let us know if you do, and we'll share it on social media. And some other perks might come your way if we get our shit together. What are you doing, bro? All right. The first movie on our list today.
2 hours? Two years worth of stuff?
We've been doing this for a long time.
2 years?
Yeah.
I think it's been longer than that.
It might be longer
Yeah,
than that.
Kadish and I went to a convention yesterday, and somebody said, "Oh, how long have you been doing your show?" And he said 3 years. At the same time, I said 2 years, and I was like, "Oh fuck, 2.5."
All right, Jude. The first movie on our list today is Ghostbusters,
Okay.
1984.
Yes, sir.
Take it away.
1984. Ghostbusters. What do you want? Rated PG with a runtime of 1 hour 45 minutes. This had a budget of $30 million. What do you think?
Oh, Jesus.
200 million.
V?
Just in its initial run, or are we talking lifetime?
Oh, lifetime.
Box,
hundreds of millions.
box office, it being played in the theater.
So I really get confused with early 80s, mid 80s numbers.
Listen, this is the only thing that I fucking have on this show. Just put out
I
a
know.
number.
I'm just trying to figure out because this movie was like iconic. It was like a cultural thing back then. It was huge. It was a huge movie. But I'm trying to like interpret it in the 1980s. 140 million. I don't know what.
Bump it up.
$240 million.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah.
$296 million.
That's
almost
like,
300 million.
That's like $6 billion in 2020 money.
That is 1984, $296 million.
That's awesome. That's really good.
Did really good. Yep.
That's just, I know you guys weren't alive back then, but no, you weren't alive.
I wasn't.
You weren't alive. This was a huge movie.
Yeah.
This was like a thing. This was like,
Well, I contribute that.
Ray Parker Jr. Who you gonna call? You know, it was everywhere.
Adjusted for inflation, it's like the 8th highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
This
for
was
it.
huge.
And Salty's over here.
No, I'm not. No, this first one's fine. I have no issue with this first one. This first one's great.
No, this was
a lot of fun.
This was a massive thing. It was really fun. Slimer was everywhere. You know, it was just. It was
I was
cool.
surprised at how little he was in this movie.
Like
growing up, I was like,
You
freaking
grew up on the cartoon, didn't you?
I'm like Slimer was like a major part of the Ghostbusters. And I watched this movie and he was in like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it. That's all we get.
This was one of those things.
Slimer is the Jar Jar Binks.
where you went to Burger King or McDonald's
Yeah.
or whatever, and you collected all the cups, and you had the Ghostbusters Happy Meal, and you went to the store, and you had
They
all the
created
shit. It
a
was
high
awesome.
C flavor just
Yeah.
for this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they don't market movies today like they did back then. They just don't.
Oh, because
And
it was
it's
100% marketed to kids. Like every kid alive was like, I want to be a Ghostbuster.
But you know, back then they marketed like
Happy Meal
semi-adult
toys.
movies
They are.
to kids. You know, it was such. It makes me feel old because it was such a different time. People didn't give a shit about weird things, and this was just a cool movie.
It was different.
It was awesome.
Jude hasn't even done her synopsis yet.
You know, so she
He's
really
feeling
hasn't.
things.
I know. I didn't want to.
I'm sorry, Jude. Go ahead and continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break into you.
Vader's been hitting the Capri Sun.
I'm hitting the hooch today pretty hard.
And if you know Vader, you know the Capri Suns make him feel the feels.
They do.
It's best just to let him ride it out.
I'm very horny right now. Feeling it very good down in the pants. Yeah, so you know.
That's how I make them. There's something strange going on in the neighborhood of New York City, and only the discredited scientists, Stantz, Venkman, and Spangler, have the technology and nothing to lose to have what it takes to take on Gozer the Gozerian. Single cellist lady Dana Barrett's got a pest problem. There's a demon dog living in her fridge. Her eggs keep frying themselves on her counter. And her armchair has gotten real handsy. Thank God Dr. Peter Venkman shows up to their date with a full syringe of Thorazine. Discuss.
Okay, first watch.
What?
Really? Is
Yeah.
it really your first watch?
Yeah. Because I thought
Get out.
Wild. That's really wild.
No,
thought-
no. Get out.
You can't hang.
I thought I had seen this before because I remember
You
parts
watched
of it.
one of the fucking sequels, didn't
No,
you?
no. I definitely hadn't seen the second one, and definitely hadn't seen the 2016
Making
version.
me so
So
mad.
I had seen parts of this movie probably on TV or something.
I thought you said before that you'd seen
I thought I did. I thought I
Ghostbusters
had,
2.
but when I watched this,
Ghostbusters 2.
no, I definitely didn't see that one.
I'm actually kind of curious to hear what you have
None
to
of
say.
us can trust your brain ever again.
No, but listen for a second.
Fine.
I thought I had seen this before, but as I was watching it, there was so much in this movie that I was like, I don't remember any of this. So I must have seen like clips of it, parts of it when I was younger and just didn't care and didn't watch it.
Was it the original Coming to America and you just got them confused in your head?
I definitely never saw the sequel. But for the first watch, I was like, okay, I was in. Bill Murray, freaking national treasure. He's hilarious in this
absolutely.
movie. He's firing on all cylinders. Sigourney Weaver's freaking gorgeous. Holy shit. Like I had a crush on her from Alien and I saw her in this and I was like, God, she's even freaking better looking in this movie. It blew my mind. Not the crazy demon possessed version, but like the slightly possessed,
no,
sexy
I
version.
like the
I'm
possessed version.
into the demon Sigourney Weaver.
The one with the silver outfit.
Oh, hell
Yeah.
That was too much for me. I like the
That wasn't Sigourney Weaver.
That was Gozer.
what?
Or that was the gatekeeper.
No,
The dog.
that was Gozer who showed up in the silver outfit. Sigourney Weaver turned into a dog.
Yeah.
First
wasn't
of all,
Sigourney-
it was
no.
a red outfit.
Yeah.
Check your memory.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis.
She was the
were
one
the
in high heels.
Were the
just
gatekeeper
trying
and the
to confuse
keymaster.
you.
They were the dogs.
Mhm.
And then Gozer was not her.
Anyway, Gozer was the one who possessed her, right?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
No.
What?
Gozer did not possess her.
Zool,
She
sorry.
was possessed by
It was
Zool.
Zool.
Azul. Right.
Not
okay.
Azul. It's
No,
just Zool.
It's Zool. Zuul.
I thought they were saying Azul.
No.
Whatever. Anyway.
Only Zool. There is no Dana. Only Zool.
I'm normally not into this type of movie, which is probably why I'm like tempered in my love for it. It was fun. It was great. You know, it's a good, I can understand completely why in 1984 this was a huge hit. It was a lot of fun. Very goofy.
What are you
very
saying?
funny. It was a different time. I get it.
People are simpler back then or something?
No, I just think
Or-
it was 1984. This would have been a big hit. I get it.
Does 1984 me amuse you?
Am I a clown?
Am I simple to you? Am
Yeah.
I stupid? What are you doing?
This is
What
a
are you
different
saying?
time, man. Gen Xers are weird.
I need you to leave.
But
Yeah,
I just,
we're kicking you off your show.
I just don't, I'm just like, you know, whatever. That'll happen someday. Just, I'm
Get
waiting
the
for
fuck
it.
out.
I'm fucking waiting for it. Katie's gonna be like,
is too
Katie's like,
powerful.
by the way, I wrote you out of your own show. This is gonna be your last week. See you later.
Your severance.
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of
get
here.
the fuck out. I'm
You'll be
waiting.
like, oh my God, you guys, I got a severance?
It's like,
Yeah, we hired Mark Wahlberg to replace you.
God. Anyway, it's just not my thing. There's funny moments. I laughed. I had a good time with it, but I'm just like, okay, yeah, all right. It's a decent movie. Well, I know you guys love it, so go ahead, gush. I'm not gonna take that away from you.
No, that's cool.
But
You
go ahead.
already have.
He's
Because I'm not like, oh my
he's
god.
completely destroyed my love
Can I
for
just?
this franchise.
There's something that.
You just tommed me with Star Wars.
Do you guys?
Thanks, man. Thanks.
do
You ruined my love for Ghostbusters.
you watch Steven Crowder?
No, not really.
No, do you? Do you know who he is? At
I mean,
least?
yeah.
Know who he looks
absolutely.
like?
I watch him when I can, but I really
Young
don't have
Dan
time.
Aykroyd
Yeah.
looks just like Steven Crowder.
Oh, you're
Sure.
crazy.
No, I'm not even joking, dude.
I don't see it.
I see it 100%.
Yeah.
I get it.
I guess I could see that sort of, but I think you're like
We really are
you're
a
squinting
different
your eyes.
generation.
Yeah. This just, it didn't hit that vibe for me. I was just like, okay, yeah, it's a
Listen,
cool movie.
man.
It's fun.
14-year-old me loved this movie. It was just so much fun, and the special effects were cool. The story was cool. It like was kind of subversive in a weird way to my stupid religious upbringing. It was just, it was a lot of fun, man. I just enjoyed this movie. I hadn't watched this movie in it's probably been 15 years since
Really?
since I've sat down and just watched this movie from the
A
beginning.
lot of nostalgia.
So it was very nostalgic
Yeah.
for me. But you know, I didn't look at this movie through a nostalgic lens. I just looked. Well, no, that's not true. I kind of did. But it's a fun movie. It tells a good story. It's
Mhm.
fun. You know.
Mhm.
It's the underdog story.
Yeah. And you know, I'm sorry, but you know, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and fuck, I'm drunk. What's the other Ghostbuster? Egon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis. Geniuses. Just absolute pillars of comedy back then, you know, and still are as far as I'm concerned. Just absolute geniuses of the comedic world. And this was their thing, man. I mean, I love this movie. It's just so much fun and super high up there. Yeah.
Cool. Jude, how about you?
I love it. So 1984, I remember when this came out and I was a child, and I don't know that it was appropriate for me to watch at the age that I was when it came out. But I remember being obsessed with it. And like, you guys know that like I'm a horror girl, and for like a scary ghost movie to be mainstream, like that was a big fucking deal for me. And it still is. Like Bill Murray, and I know that I think he was on Saturday Night Live
All these
before,
guys,
and he had done other things like Stripes and other things that he was like kind of a mainstream actor.
So
and
Bill
comedian.
Murray and Dan Aykroyd were like season 1
Oh yeah,
SNL guys. I think Ramis, was he a writer, Matt?
He was on SCTV along with Rick Moranis.
Yeah. Okay.
oh
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
I
so-
didn't know
so-
that.
Yeah, like all these guys came from like improv sketch comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, you had SNL people on there. And originally the Peter Venkman role was written for James Belushi, but unfortunately he passed away before the movie was made. Yeah, it was SCTV was basically the Canadian version of SNL. And so like Harold Ramis and Rick Moranis came from like that one. John Candy, who was going to be in this movie, came from there. He was going to play the Louis Tully role, but all of his ideas kept getting rejected by Ivan Reitman, so he just eventually backed out of the project. He wanted Louis Tully to be German and have like 2 Schnauzer dogs that he carried around with him.
Honestly,
like
Rick Moranis is perfect in this.
Oh, I love Rick Moranis.
So what I was gearing up towards was like, this is what catapulted, like especially Bill Murray into like the mainstream. And like, I know Sigourney Weaver had already done Aliens, but she wasn't known for being like the beauty in the show. And she's so beautiful in this.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. And I just
Watching the hallway scene right now.
For me, this is like one of those perfect movies that like, I don't have a problem with fucking anything in this. And it's just, it's fun and it's spooky.
That's the thing with me. I don't have no problems with this movie whatsoever. It's well put together. It's well acted. It's funny. It's comical. It's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I get it.
It's very similar to when we did the retro rewatch and Cage was like, yeah, the movie is fine, but I don't like old movies. It's kind of like this with me. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I have no salt for it whatsoever. I just not into it.
Yeah, like you hate Goonies. So like
oh my God, let it go.
No, I'm making a point here where Alex, like there's a certain kind of golden age of 80s cinema that everyone loves except for Alex. Like he just consistently does not like certain amazing classic movies.
Wasn't 1984 like a massive year?
Actually, I think it was 89 was the massive year, which is when the sequel came out.
Okay, because there was like one year in the 80s that came out. It's like you went to the movies like every weekend.
That was 89.
And they're all movies that we still talk about today.
Yeah.
It was just an incredible year.
It was when Batman came out and like the new James Bond and like a ton of other movies.
Well, I think 84 was a good time for movies too. I mean, that's when like Splash came out.
Yeah.
It was like a time that like cinema was changing.
Yeah, I mean, this was the decade of the blockbuster, and Hollywood was figuring out the formula for making like these huge franchises and stuff like that. And nobody thought this movie was going to do what it did, because it was like it was like a couple of comedians who they gave $30 million to make some like weird movie about ghosts, and at the time, like it's just like nobody thought that this movie was going to do what it did.
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely one of the movies that like shaped me as a person who's going to grow up to like spooky movies.
For sure.
This and Jaws, that did it for me.
I feel like this movie was made for 14-year-old me.
It was.
You know what I mean?
I bet
it was so much fun, and it just.
So, Cage, we haven't gotten to your thoughts yet. What are you as nostalgic as it for this movie?
So the first time I saw this movie, it was when I was a kid. I was visiting my cousins, my mom's side of the family in Oklahoma. And me and my brothers and my cousins all went to go see this movie because my oldest cousin, Mike, was like super excited about it. And I can remember vividly going to the theater to see this for the first time and getting scared at the librarian at the beginning. And like, it's like, these guys have lasers that shoot ghosts. And
Bro, I still jump at the librarian.
Yeah.
I know what's coming. And every time I go, oh shit. and yeah, it's awesome.
And like, honestly, 1984, that librarian still holds up today.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And it came out the same time as Gremlins did as well.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I didn't like it.
That movie sucks.
Yeah.
See my point.
How dare you?
But so like, I remember leaving the theater with my cousins just like on this high of like, that was like one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. And like, that Halloween, like we all wanted to dress up as Ghostbusters and stuff like that.
A lot of people did.
Yeah.
Too.
So like this movie was like a cultural zeitgeist, and I was at that age that I was able to catch that, and eventually like became obsessed with like the cartoon and like all the in fact the slime from the cartoon that they sold in those like little things.
Yeah,
remember
that made more money than this movie did.
The marketing for this was awesome.
Yeah.
You could go buy a freaking like Play-Doh cup thing full of like green sludge.
Yeah,
it was great. It was great.
I think I saw an interview with it was either Harold Ramis or Dan Aykroyd who said that the money that they got from the toys that this franchise spun off eclipsed anything the movies made. And it was very interesting. But this movie, it's very close to, I shouldn't say it's a perfect movie, but it's very close to like being like a timeless classic. It's one of those things where, like, I've watched this movie as I've grown up time and time again. It never gets old. It's always entertaining. And when Jude and I were watching it the other night, literally both of us were quoting the lines as they were happening throughout the entire movie. Like every line in this movie is almost like quotable. And, it's a fascinating movie. I'm kind of surprised that it turned out as good as it did, because, like, when you go back into the history of this film, there was a lot of things that could have derailed this. Like, first of all, it was meant to be set in the future, and Ghostbusters were kind of like firemen, where like they had like stations all over the place. And Dan Aykroyd's initial vision of this was like much more futuristic, and they had to pare it back because if they did what he initially wanted, it would have cost like $200 million to make in 1980.
Didn't it have a really weird like title too in the beginning?
It was called Ghost Smashers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was weirder than that. Like,
but when they when they brought Ivan Reitman on, they started paring it back. Originally, James Belushi was going to play Peter Venkman, and Eddie Murphy was going to be Winston.
Yeah.
And Winston's part was much bigger in the initial draft because Eddie Murphy was such a huge draw. And
that would have been amazing.
Yeah, I think Dan Aykroyd had just come off of Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, so like they were kind of buddies.
I freaking love that movie.
Yeah. But you don't like Ghostbusters, okay?
No, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said it wasn't my thing.
Yeah. So anyway,
and was Jamie Lee supposed to be the Sigourney Weaver character?
Oh, if Sigourney Weaver and Trading. Oh,
and wasn't there a thing, Matt, where Bill Murray was like kind of being difficult, or was that for the second movie?
That was for the second movie. So like with this movie, they brought Bill Murray on, and pretty much every single line that Bill Murray utters in this movie was ad-libbed.
Yeah.
Like he did not stick to the script. Whereas
as you do when you are Bill Murray.
Yeah. And when you had Harold Ramis come on, so like Harold Ramis was more of a behind the scenes type guy. He was like the director of Caddyshack and stuff like that. And so like he helped rewrite the movie along with Ivan Reitman.
I was so sad when he passed.
Yeah. But he wasn't originally supposed to play Egon. Originally it was supposed to go to Christopher Walken, and then they were considering Christopher Lloyd. And when they couldn't find someone to fill the role, Harold Ramis stepped in. And it's kind of funny because like he would give most of his funnier lines to Bill Murray. And he also made the decision to never have Egon smile in the first movie. So like he's just playing it like completely straight.
Yeah.
But the ad-libbing, like the thing that a lot of people point to that makes this movie like so magical is the chemistry between like the three main actors.
For sure.
Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Bill Murray. And there's a scene in there where Bill Murray says he ad-libbed this line like as they were shooting, where it's like, yeah, remember that time you tried to drill a hole in your head? And then Harold Ramis, not missing a beat, says, yeah, that would have worked if you hadn't stopped me. Just like completely dead. Like all that was like just on the spur of the moment,
awesome.
ad-libbed.
That's cool.
And it feels like it was scripted. So like this entire movie, it was cobbled together from all these amazing ideas and amazing talents who were working on it at the time. And it came together in such a perfect way that it felt like lightning in a bottle. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to recapture that since.
Call it fate.
Call it karma. Yeah.
There's just sometimes these movies hit, and this was a special movie.
Yeah.
I can totally see it.
It really was.
Could you totally picture Christopher Walken as
Yes.
Egon?
Honestly, no.
No?
I have a hard time picturing that.
It would have been wild.
It would have been, a movie with Christopher Walken and Eddie Murphy would have been a completely different movie. And I don't know. I can't say I wouldn't like it, but I can't say I would. I
really like Winston's character as like he's the straight man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, if it's a steady paycheck, I'm in.
Egon is not the straight man. Egon is like he's also a weirdo, but
scientist.
at the complete opposite end. Winston is the straight man, and I can't see Eddie Murphy being.
Well,
that.
it was funny because like they changed the role once Eddie Murphy left.
Right.
And originally Winston had a lot more backstory in the movie that they ended up cutting out. Like he was like a Marine veteran. He was like an EMT. Like he had like all this like training and all these special skills. Like he was way overqualified for the job. And when he's talking to Janine for the first time and she's like, you know, do you believe in ESP, blah, blah, blah. And he has that steady paycheck line. Like originally in that scene, he's telling her all of his qualifications and then she goes into that. But they were like, it's funnier if we just go right into there.
Janine. Let's talk about her for a second.
I love her.
I love Annie Potts.
Fun fact.
I love her now on the Sheldon show, and I love her back then, and I loved her on what was the show with sitcom she was on?
Is it a redhead
Designing
thing?
Women?
Designing Women. I love.
It's a redhead thing, huh?
It might be.
Yeah.
Annie
That's
Potts.
probably where it started.
Annie
Yeah.
Potts is funny, man.
That's it right there.
I like her. I like her so much.
And I liked the little like weird kind of flirting that she was doing with Egon.
Oh
in
yeah,
this
the
movie.
under the desk scene.
She
It's like-
is hot for teacher.
Oh, for sure.
There's so many like little stories that I want to share because we're talking about this movie and we're probably never going to talk about it again.
Oh, we will. We can.
But so for instance, you know, the scene where the Ghostbusters are all locked up and they're going through like, you know, what's happening and all like the convicts are around them, like kind of listening in.
And they've got
they pull out-
blueprints in their cell for some reason.
So that was shot in a real jail cell that was supposedly haunted.
Nice.
And all the, like a lot of the film that they shot while they were there mysteriously got scratched. So like technically like maybe a ghost was, you know, interfering with them. So that was kind of like a little fun thing. But Gregory Peck or Richard Peck,
Dick Peck.
William Atherton, basically, who plays the EPA agent who kind of comes in and messes things up for the
man
Ghostbusters.
who has no penis.
Yes, exactly.
The best line in the movie.
So
God, he's such a jerk.
well, the funny thing is like because of his role here, like he couldn't go out for like an entire year because people wanted to pick fights with him because of this movie. But there's a scene at the end where he gets like covered in marshmallow goo after the Stay Puft Marshmallow explodes, and as we all know, this was shaving cream, right?
I didn't know that, but okay, cool.
Yeah. So like the special effects guys use shaving cream as the marshmallow fluff.
Genius.
Because they could get like huge bags of it. And so the idea was they had these bags like hanging up and they would like rip the bags open and all the shaving cream would fall on top of him and he'd be like covered with it. And so he's sitting there and he's looking up at that and he's like, so how much shaving cream is that? And the special effects guys, it's a lot of shaving cream. And he's like, well, how much does it weigh? And they're like, that's about 75 pounds of shaving cream. And he's like, you want to drop 75 pounds on me? And they're like, yeah, but it's shaving cream. He's like, 75 pounds of shaving cream is still 75 pounds.
Yeah.
Are you sure this is safe? And they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. He's like, I don't believe you. Why don't you use a stunt man and test it out? And so like they used the stunt man and they dropped all the shaving cream on and the guy just got flattened. And the special effects guys were like, maybe that's too much shaving cream.
That would hurt.
Oh my God.
That would hurt.
Yeah, so I think they cut it down to like 35 pounds or something like that. And by the time it hit him, like it was like,
Oh my God.
like he was able to survive it.
Wow.
Yeah,
I hope the stuntman's okay.
it's just kind of funny that all these movies that we talk about from the 80s, like the special effects guys play really fast and loose with like.
What was the movie
safety.
that we were talking about where the contacts weren't
It was
smoothed
Fright
down?
Night. Fright
Fright
Night.
Night, yeah. And they were just like glass shards rolling around in people's eyes because somebody forgot to like sand down the contacts.
Yeah.
Gosh, can't even imagine.
Yeah.
All right, let's do final thoughts on the first Ghostbusters. So it's
Final thoughts.
obviously a huge nostalgic. What's your rating? Is it a
Oh,
5? Is this
man.
another 5-star?
Uh,
Because if it's not, I'm really curious why.
you
I
know,
don't
I'm
like
really
what your
stingy.
eyebrows are doing right now. I'm very
You know,
offended
I'm
at your eyebrows.
I'm really stingy with my 5 stars.
You
right?
are, but this is like
But this is like, you know what? You know what?
give it a 5-star.
You know what?
give into the
Give it.
alcohol.
I'm
Give it
doing
a 5-star.
I'm doing it.
Yes,
I'm doing it. This is a 5-star movie.
There we go. Indiana
this-
Jones is no longer the only 5-star movie.
No, there's 2 others. Indiana Jones, Search for Spock, and
No,
now
Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan. God, I'm drunk. God, fucking Tito's and Capri Suns. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay, Ghostbusters.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. God,
Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan and Ghostbusters.
Okay,
I have now 3 5-star movies.
And did you give
I
Creeps? Did you give that a 5-star rating?
No, he didn't.
No,
Okay.
it was the trifecta, but it wasn't a 5-star movie.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, this is a special movie. This is a special movie for 14-year-old me.
Gotcha.
It is what it is, man.
Okay, all right,
I don't know what else to say about it. It's Ghostbusters. Who are you gonna call, man?
I will say
It's
this:
just-
the freaking theme song is dope.
Ray Parker
It is
Jr.
freaking awesome.
Ray Parker Jr. wrote that in 2 days. He had no idea what he was going to write, and he based it off of a commercial he saw for a plumber who said, like if your pipes burst late at night, who are you going to call? And Ray Parker Jr. was like,
Who you gonna call?
That's catchy.
And he wrote it like a commercial jingle based off of the fake commercial that the Ghostbusters do. So like
Yeah.
when he was watching the dailies looking for inspiration and the song was due in like 2 days, he was like, you know what, I'm going to write it like a commercial jingle. And it's one of the most iconic,
Dude,
catchy songs.
To this
Theme
day,
song.
Whatever
Yeah.
noise that it makes, like dun, 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 that little like
Yeah.
jingle part, it freaking rocks, dude. I listened when I was watching this movie. I had my freaking headphones on. I had like full on sound, and I'm like, this freaking theme song. Is
Growing
dope.
up, every skate park in
for
the
sure.
nation, like when you went roller skating, like they'd play that song and fuck with the lights, and you'd just be skating along.
dude. Yeah, I can totally see that.
That's, I mean, so like, I don't know if this is like an actual 5-star movie, but you know what? Drunk Vader says this is a 5-star movie.
Boom.
And I had so much fun watching this. When I could sit by myself in my house, in my stupid little nerd room with my computer, and I can giggle and laugh and have a great time the entire time and feel like I'm 14 years old again.
That's a
love
good movie.
every second of this thing. It's a good movie.
Yep.
And I'm giving it 5 stars. And if it's whatever, if you don't,
I don't
agree
think
with
you're
me-
going to get a lot of hate.
if you
from
don't
that.
agree with me, then fine.
Look, man, the rules are
I
made
get
up.
it. It
Points
is.
don't matter.
But yeah.
Welcome to the
I have-
party, man.
I have 3 5-star movies now.
There we go. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
Everybody,
So, yeah.
everybody, drink for Vader's third one.
So, Jude, what do you think about this thing?
Fascinating.
Oh, I got to get another one in.
Is it a fascinating a drink word? Fascinating and
Oh, penultimate. Fuck.
penultimate. Fuck, you just did it.
Jesus.
I'm gonna end up sleeping here.
I
This
just wanted
afternoon.
to be known. Vader made all of the drinks today, so
You are drinking a heavy ass drink.
I can hang.
Yeah.
Jude.
I'm
You know what's
Jude.
funny is Jude is like the biggest. She can kill us all.
Yeah, probably.
She's like the chicken.
Stop.
She's like what's her face in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh yeah, Marion.
Marion.
God.
Marion Ravenwood.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
sweet. Thank you.
All right, Jude.
You ain't wrong. I agree. It's
5-star?
It's a 5-star movie. This is the first of its kind. It's a one of a kind. It was a one of a kind. And it's just got so much nostalgia for me. And
I loved how homemade all the tech felt
Oh,
in
yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
It felt very Back to the Future to me.
yeah,
Like,
I love
same
this
vibe.
movie. It's just one of those things that like it's iconic. And like
is.
a Halloween costume. You see somebody walking around like this, you know exactly where it's from.
Yeah.
And it just gives you the feels and the smiles, and I love it.
Cool. Katie, how about you, bud?
So, nostalgia goggles aside, this is a very good movie,
Okay.
and like it works on so many different levels. For instance, if you really pick this thing apart, Louis Tully, who becomes the key master, ironically keeps getting locked out of his apartment.
So funny.
Yeah,
It is.
The onion head ghost Slimer, he was meant to be kind of like the ghost of John Belushi. They tried to make him look like that, and the iconic lines like "he slimed me" and this represents the last of the petty cash and all this stuff. Oh, that's the bedroom. Nothing ever happened in there. What a crime. Yeah. So much stuff in this movie works on so many different levels. Like it's master plot wise, it's an underdog story. It's also the story about starting up a business and all this other stuff, but it's a wonderful kind of fantasy adventure. I think, what was it? Dan Aykroyd pitched it to the head of Columbia Pictures as janitors who clean up ghosts.
Yeah.
Like that was the
That's
whole
a good
thing.
way to put it.
Yep.
Yeah, and the cast, everything worked in this movie. So I 100% agree with you guys. This is a 5-star film.
Yes.
Nice.
Not just nostalgically, on a technical filmmaking storytelling level, this movie works. I've seen this movie like a million times, and every single time I see it, I'm always entertained. I love it. I laugh at all the jokes. I get invested in the story. Like the climax feels real to me. One of the great things about this movie is that the horror is adult. It's scary. It's not made for kids, but it appeals to all age groups. And I think that's one of the reasons why it stood the test of time. So,
I agree.
so yeah.
So now,
Never loved you more.
regardless of what Mr. Salty over here says, this is probably our highest rated episode of
It might be, yeah.
for a movie
Across
ever.
the board.
I just realized something.
We've never had 3 5-star.
And we should also point out that the ghosts in this movie, they're not the souls of dead people. They're interdimensional beings. So like the idea is that these are incorporeal beings from another dimension that somehow
Class
came,
5 free roaming vapor.
somehow
That's
came,
right.
and that's how they got around the whole like religious controversy. It's like, you know, we're not saying anything about the afterlife. We're saying that these are beings, and that's how come they look all like weird and stuff like that. They're beings that came from other dimensions that, for lack of a better term, we call them ghosts.
That's an episode 2. We'll go there later.
Kadish, let me ask you something before we move on to Alex. Are you a god?
Yes.
Okay, Alex? Listen, if somebody asks you if you're a god,
You always say yes.
you say
Always.
yes.
Yeah.
That was in this movie. Yes, it was. Okay.
Listen, you're making me so angry right now.
Sorry. Look, I have all the respect in the world for this movie. I 100% understand why all you guys gave it a 5-star rating. I have no argument against that. It was pivotal to your youth. It's a great movie on its own. It stands up to
I
the
don't
test
like
of time.
the way you said your youth.
I wasn't even born yet, Jude.
Yeah.
I'm 187 years young.
As an elder millennial born in 1988, I did not have the upbringing with this movie. And I haven't seen it until now. I'm 33 years old. The first time I watched
You
this
had
movie.
bad parents. It's okay. I understand.
Ouch.
Our parents took us to the drive-in.
My parents took me to Temple of Doom and Ghostbusters.
Your parents kept you home safe.
Yeah, you guys are all so well adjusted.
Yes. Very true.
Listen, I can drink a lot.
That's
And that is my
Anyway.
life skill. Please continue.
it's I don't know. I don't even know how to rate it because I feel like no matter what I'm going to say, it's not a 5-star movie for me. I don't. This is not
It's
like
no
a freaking
Sahara.
I didn't give Sahara a 5-star, did I? I don't remember. It's easily like a 3.5. It's a really good movie, solid comedy. Bill Murray's on point. I love it all. Sigourney Weaver's gorgeous. The freaking music is dope. Great movie. 3.5 stars.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's all I'm gonna let you, that's all I'm gonna let you say.
That's it.
Because you're wrong.
Okay.
But that's okay.
All right. Everybody has their own opinions.
I agree with Vader.
Okay, good. All right, guys. That's
I
it
love
for
you.
Ghostbusters. We'll be right back after a quick break, and then we're going to talk about the sequel, Ghostbusters 2. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support the podcast and get some awesome swag in return, like our members-only shirts, you can get these on saltynerdstore.com, and you can rock some awesome swag. If you do purchase something from us, which I know we've gotten a couple orders in the last couple of weeks, take a picture wearing it, selfie, whatever, send it our way. We'll share it on Instagram as a thank you. We'll shout you out. And we love seeing people rock our swag. That's what we want to see. I
know, right?
We're kind of egotistical like that. We like that kind of stuff.
I need some ego boosting. I want to see a barbarian space Viking
There you go.
on somebody other than my fat ass. All right. Yeah.
So saltynerdstore.com, grab some swag. And don't forget, we're asking everybody to leave a 5-star review. If you're listening to this on Apple iTunes or any other platform, go to Apple, leave us a review. It helps us to get accredited on Rotten Tomatoes, and then we can get perks and all kinds of cool stuff. And we can help skew that critics rating to, reflect normal people. All right, everybody. Ghostbusters 2. Take it away, Jude.
All right. 1989, Ghostbusters 2. Rated PG with a runtime of 1 hour 48 minutes. This had a budget of $37 million.
That's it.
What do you think it made?
I'm going to say it brought in another $250.
How much did the first one make?
290. Almost 290.
296.
This wasn't that good of a movie.
No, it's not.
So I'm gonna go 180.
215.
God dang it. Okay, yeah, it's
It's
close.
not bad. I mean, people
Yeah.
still love the Ghostbusters.
Well, it was
Yeah.
going off of name and recognition, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Ghostbusters peace sign.
Yep.
yeah. I hate that they changed the logo.
They changed the logo?
Yeah. it was-
Did you not notice? It's like all over the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the ghost with like holding up the peace sign.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're
Well, it's the
open
same
again.
ghost, though, with the line
Yeah,
through it.
they just like they
Okay.
had they
Yeah,
had to
but,
reopen
they
it.
just gave it-
but it makes no sense.
They just gave it
within
the sequel.
context
It
of
was
the
a
movie.
sequelitis thing. This movie is real rot with sequelitis, but
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Let me tell you what it's about.
go ahead.
So it's 5 years later and a lot has changed. Dana has a baby, a failed marriage, and does art restoration now. Janine's kind of slutty. The Ghostbusters are discredited again and doing children's parties to pay the bills, and there's no such thing as ghosts. Until there is. When the guys find a river of slime flowing underneath the streets of New York, they jackhammer a hole to it and cause the city to black out. But good thing Louis Tully got his law degree and can represent them. And it's just in time to get back in the business of busting ghosts. Because there's a new big bad in town. And it's Vigo!
It's Vigo.
He's Vigo.
Vigo, the Vigorian.
He's a Vigo. He knows a painting. He's very, very scary man.
This movie was freaking painful. It was so bad. Okay, so like the first one is a wonderful underdog story. And then for this one, I felt like they were like, all right, they're on top of the world. How do we make an underdog again? Mm-hmm. Oh, we spent 40 minutes explaining just how shitty their lives have become after the past 5 years. And then the movie starts. It's like halfway through the movie is when the actual story begins with Vigo and all that other shit.
Dana and Venkman aren't even together anymore? What?
40 minutes. I timed it because I looked at my freaking timer on the bottom of it. I was like, Jesus, this has been half the movie just explaining everything that's gone wrong.
Didn't I ask you to leave already?
I freaking hated this movie. It was so
what's
bad.
funny is like as a kid, I was so excited to get to see this movie.
Right?
1989, that was the year Batman came out. Even that young, I realized this was a bad movie. It was
Well,
not
you've
a good
always
movie.
been on a different level.
I was to the point where like the first one, I hadn't watched this movie in a long time, probably 15 years. And I was rewatching it, and then I sent a text to Salty. I go, I remember this movie being a little better.
Yeah, I was like, bro, I know. I texted you. I was like, bro, Ghostbusters 2 sucks.
This
And
is very good, right?
He's like, yeah, you're right.
Well, what's funny is like during this time period, it was kind of like the birth of the franchise, and sequels weren't like a big thing back then. It wasn't very common. In fact, I think this was the first, and it could be the only sequel that Bill Murray's ever done. And so like there was a lot of stuff that kind of prevented it from being made, because after the first one was a big hit, Hollywood was of course like, oh, we need to get a sequel going.
Yeah.
But it took like 5 years to get this movie out. And one of the reasons for that was because Bill Murray had kind of semi-retired from acting. He took like this big long sabbatical, and he had been feuding with the head of Columbia Pictures. Like the two guys hated each other. And it wasn't until that guy got replaced that Bill Murray even decided to come in and hear out an idea for the sequel. And it was one of those situations, kind of like Indiana Jones, where basically all the principals that were involved in the original had to agree to do the sequel in order for it to happen. So Ivan Reitman, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd. And
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, thank you.
How drunk are you?
I don't know. I'm getting vapors from you guys. But like all four of those guys had to come in and basically agree to do the sequel. And Dan Aykroyd once again came in and wrote a sequel that would have cost like way too much money to do. It was just out of the bounds of their ability to do it at the time. So they had to scale it back. But Bill Murray came on based off of a pitch that was told to him from both Ivan Reitman and Dan Aykroyd that eventually ended up being completely changed. Like Bill Murray didn't want any slime. He didn't want he had like a laundry list of things that he didn't want in the movie. And by the time he was contractually obligated to do it, they had put all that stuff in
He's
there.
being very difficult.
Yeah.
I remember it was one of those Netflix movies that made us, that I think kind of chronicled this stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, the original proton packs were supposedly very heavy. And so he was like, I don't want to wear a proton pack because those things are heavy. And they're like, we're going to try to make them lighter. And so like they redesigned the proton packs to be lighter and stuff like that. But a big thing that this movie had to take into account that the first one didn't is the cartoon show, because the cartoon was the thing that really made the Ghostbusters franchise super lucrative. So Sony kept trying to force in elements from the cartoon into this movie. And the big thing was the slime, because the slime was the thing that was like making all the money, selling it to kids.
Kids love slime.
Yeah. And so like they had to make the slime the big part of the plot of this movie. And it's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's just dumb.
Just the whole ending of this movie, we're like, what are we going to do to defeat the evil? We got to get everybody together to get a big old hoorah.
You know what we
Freaking
need?
let's sing our way out of
We
this.
need the Statue of Liberty.
God, it was so stupid.
So I just did a quick Google,
Yeah.
and we were talking about like what years, like 84 was a big time for movies, and Katie was saying that 89 was like a pivotal time for movies. And I did a quick Google of other movies that came out the same year. Puppet Master, Batman, The Burbs,
I love that movie.
License to Kill, The Abyss, Roadhouse,
Ooh.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade,
Ooh.
Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Child,
Damn. 89's a good year.
Those are all
Karate
good
Kid
movies.
Part 3. Like, big year for movies.
Yeah, I didn't like anything about this movie. I had no fun with it. It was not as funny as the first one.
I agree.
To me, this movie, as much as I love the first one, I dislike the second one. It felt very forced. It felt like, hey guys, we need to make a sequel.
Yeah.
So let's throw this thing together. You could tell like the actors, I don't feel like we're super into it.
Well, it feels like a cash in.
It did. It felt like a cash in for 100%. I didn't like this movie that well. It's not a terrible movie.
I kind of think it is.
I don't think it's like it's not like a 1-star movie or anything like that. But it's certainly not a 4 or 5-star movie.
The main characters.
I feel like a lot of I feel like the story was, and I'm probably wrong, but I feel like it was just kind of hastily written. I feel like it was kind of phoned in. I feel like the actors weren't super into it. I know Bill Murray didn't want to be there. I'm not really sure about Aykroyd.
The thing about
other
like
guys,
the
but
first one, these characters being underdogs, like you were rooting for them, you liked them. And in this movie, I didn't like any of the Ghostbusters. They were kind of douchey.
Yeah, in the original script, when it happened, they were kind of enjoying their success for having saved New York and stuff like that. But then I think it was Ivan Reitman who was like, we need to make these guys failures again because it's just not as fun having them enjoy success.
I disagree.
I hate it when they do that to people.
Yeah, I think it would have been great to pick up right where they left off, where they were like the heroes of the city, and an even bigger threat is, coming towards New York or something like that.
It didn't even make any sense that they got sued because it's like, well, obviously those were actual things that happened and the Ghostbusters didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So. It's like the mayor is running for governor now. And he doesn't want nothing to do with them.
Those were acts of gods.
And it's just silly. It doesn't make any sense.
Was that
to
a
me.
Giuliani thing? Was he around during this 89?
I'm not sure.
Because
that sounds about right.
I want to say yes.
There
sounds about right.
There was a lot of messaging about New York in this movie, about how like, oh, I know it's a piece of shit. I know it's a terrible place to live.
Ghostbusters has always been a New York kind of staple things. Like after the first one, because even though it wasn't really shot in New York, it was, it kind of embodied New York, and New Yorkers kind of like took on Ghostbusters as a thing of pride.
You want me to tell all the New Yorkers they got to get along and be nice to each other?
You got to be nice to each other. Get out of here. Let's all get together and sing a song or some shit. I don't know.
I like their accents when they're like drilling a hole in the street.
Oh, that was a good scene.
It was the exact same plot line of Elf. Elf stole this everybody sing along together and make everything happy.
Oh, is that it?
Okay.
Yeah, they stole it from Ghostbusters.
You're adorable.
I'm not lying.
So it feels to me like the difference between like when you're like living your best life and then you get together later and you're like talking about that time that you lived your best life.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
The best part about this movie was Janusz, played by Peter McNichol. And I don't know if you guys ever knew this, but basically, so the character of Janusz was kind of like just very flat. And when Peter McNichol came on, he basically came in and created this huge backstory for the character where, I think at a certain point they asked him like, where's he from? He's like, the Upper West Side. What are you talking about? But like his actual like accent and like where he originated from was Carpathia, which is where, Vigo comes from. And so like, that's one of the reasons why he could so easily take possession of Janusz is because he was originally from Carpathia. And, but he just has these great lines throughout. Like when we first meet him, he's walking around kind of critiquing all the art restorations. And he's just like, everything you're doing is bad. I just want you to know that.
He has a lot of great moments
He really does.
throughout this.
He kind of steals the movie.
He does, yeah. And like you said, he's the best part of this movie.
I found him super annoying.
Oh my
He
God,
was.
I love him.
And it's weird when he shows up dressed as like a nanny with a carriage to steal
I know, it's
baby
very
Oscar.
strange.
He's like a ghost Janosch.
Yeah,
And I
ghost
love it
Janosch.
when he comes to Dana's house and he's like trying to belatedly think of a reason why he's there. And he's like, I was here in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And how is your baby? Baby, hello. It's like super late. And he's like, oh, a kid. It's just funny.
It's very
Yeah, it
awkward.
turns into
funny.
Naja. Oh,
Yeah.
It was super awkward.
It's the only accent I do.
I just feel like that scene is a perfect example of why this movie didn't work for me because it just
Wasn't funny.
it wasn't funny.
It's funnier watching
It-
Jude
it felt-
redo it.
It's the
It
only
felt-
thing that worked for me.
Yeah, it felt kind of forced. It just this whole movie just felt like they were just trying to cram in a bunch of stuff that wasn't funny, that didn't make sense. I didn't even like the river of slime underneath.
Oh, so dumb.
Well,
You know the scene where they were like drilling into the road.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, what are you guys doing over
Why
here?
don't you let us work?
Blah,
We
blah, blah.
don't interrupt you when you're working.
Yeah.
like
you
they
know,
could
I
have
felt
gone
like-
to a less conspicuous part of New York
Yeah.
City to drill and then just like travel.
I mean,
Whatever.
I don't know if it's true or not, but that scene felt completely ad lib to me. It just
Didn't work, man.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
There's so much in this movie that didn't
Can
work.
we talk about the main bad guy who didn't show up until an hour in? Vigo. Is it like a possessed painting?
Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about. It's like they introduce a lot, and it's like they set the stage for the rules of the thing that they're introducing, and then they just like chuck them out the window, and they're like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
So like it's a possessed painting, and he needs a baby for a body, but then he possesses Janosch, and then Janosch is a human, but then he's also a ghost with a carriage. It like nothing makes sense.
Yeah,
in
like
this
why
movie.
would you want?
Yeah.
Why did
The
he want to
slime
possess
is
a baby?
alive.
Well, he wanted to
Live.
possess the baby so he could have the baby's body and soul to.
But he's
to
already
possess.
got like powers, so
Yeah,
why do
so
you
I
even
don't
need the
know.
baby?
He showed up in
It-
person. He
So,
like,
yeah,
so
and then
it-
he picked up the baby.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about this movie is that the initial movie was such a mess they had to go back and do like a bunch of reshoots because the audience test scores were just like really low. They didn't like the ending of the movie.
Wait, the original movie or the original version of this?
The original version of Ghostbusters 2.
Okay.
So basically, they had to go back and do like a lot of reshoots and re-edit the movie. Like originally, there was like a big subplot with Louis Tully where he wanted to be a Ghostbuster, and so he was chasing Slimer around trying to catch Slimer.
See, that would have been fun.
That's cute.
And they eventually like cut out most of that. Like they kept in like 2 scenes, and that scene at the end where Slimer drives the bus up and Louis Tully like gets on the bus. That was supposed to have more of an impact because the entire movie he was trying to catch Slimer, and Slimer and him eventually team up, and that was just something from like the cartoon show that they wanted to put in there. But that's just an example of like how like crazy this movie was because the entire third act was like reshot, and so like they had a different ending, but audiences felt like Vigo wasn't as big of a threat and he was too easily beaten, so they had to go back and basically redo the whole thing. And it like you said, like it's confusing, it doesn't work,
really
is.
it's very
Yeah.
inconsistent within its own like internal logic. This movie is just bad. It's
Yep.
just plain bad
It's
movie.
not good.
what do you give it for a rating? You give the first one a 5.
Oh, this is probably a 2.
Okay.
I mean, there are fun parts in the movie. I mean, it is Bill Murray and Aykroyd and Ramis, so I can't give them a 1-star crap fest. But this movie isn't good, but it has enough interesting things in there to maybe amuse me a little bit. So yeah,
Would you watch it again?
if I never saw this movie again, I don't think I'd care a whole lot.
Okay. Jude, how about you?
It's just it is what it is.
I feel similarly. It doesn't make me mad to watch it, but it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost kind of a bummer because the first one's so great.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just, it's not terrible, but it like compared to the first one, it kind of is.
It doesn't have the magic, right?
It doesn't, it has none of the magic.
Yeah.
And it just feels really forced and it just feels like a cash in.
Mm.
Like it could have been great or it could have been better. And I just feel like this was a really lazy attempt at cashing in on something that had been great, which that kind of annoys me.
Okay.
So I'm right with Vader. I'm going to give it 2 Vigos out of 5. And that's too many Vigos.
Vigo.
Okay. Kadish, how about you, bud?
Yeah, so this movie structurally, beat for beat, is the exact same as the first movie. It's like it's one of the laziest kind of like sequels I think that they could have put out. Any movie where the climax is an animated Statue of Liberty controlled by a Nintendo controller,
That's so bad.
yeah, it's instantly like in the garbage bin for me. I agree with you guys again. This is a 2-star movie.
Wow, look
like
at
like
us.
it's not bad enough to be a 1-star, but like it's definitely not 3 enough to be considered entertaining. So I would definitely give this, I don't know, 2 stars out of 5.
The other thing that's bad about this movie is they made a whole new theme song.
By
and
Bobby
it's
Brown.
terrible.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby Brown, for that
Yeah.
theme song. And he even has like a little cameo in the movie.
Yeah.
Like I remember,
which is also terrible.
I remember when this movie came out and they were hyping up that song, and I was like, it's
Yep.
not as good as the original.
no.
Why not just keep the original?
Exactly.
The original
Because
was dope.
they'd have to keep paying royalties for it. I
Keep
guess.
going. It was worth it. That freaking song is awesome.
Mm-hmm. That song bops.
I don't have the nostalgia for the first one that you guys do, so I have no qualms in giving this a 1-star crap fest. This movie sucks. It was a trudge to
Leave
get
room
through.
to grow. We still have to do the next one.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true, huh? All right, 1.5.
There you go.
It was tough to get through. Like I was watching it and I was like, God, when is this movie gonna end? And then the Statue of Liberty started walking. I'm like, Jesus, when's this movie gonna end? And then people started singing in the streets, and I was like, good God, when is this movie gonna end? And then it finally ended, and I was like, oh, whew, thank God.
The worst is after they defeat Vigo and the painting turns to a painting of the Ghostbusters holding the baby.
That's the worst.
That was so dumb. It was one of the worst things that they could have ended on, I think.
It was a very cartoon ending,
Yeah.
which I think this movie was made for the kids that had been watching the cartoon.
But even they hated it, because I was one of those kids. I was like, this movie sucks.
Right.
I think when I was a kid, I saw this and I went, that was a movie. And I don't remember hating it, but now as an adult, I'm like, God, it's pitiful.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
All right, guys, that's it for Ghostbusters 2. I know we're kind of on a somber note here. We're all kind of bummed out.
We were really dead.
Yeah, you guys
There,
were.
'cause-
Yeah.
Vader was drunk. He was stoked. Gave it a 5-star review. Now we're all kind of. Well, we're getting ready to go really down far the rabbit hole on this next one. We're going to talk about Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Why do we call it Ghostbusters 2016?
Because I'm not calling it Ghostbusters, because it's not. The first movie was Ghostbusters.
So is it a remake or a sequel?
It's a
reboot.
reboot.
So it's like a reimagining
Yes.
with chicks.
It's an
Yes.
action reimagining with
Yeah.
no
With Chris
imagination
Hemsworth.
or
This
action.
movie can just like lick every part of my butt. I
That might make me like it more.
I don't even know what to say about this vile. You're a dirty girl. I'm so jealous of Matt right now. It's like, dude, you gotta like chick who likes to give you a fucking rim jobs.
Weird ass shit going on
Wow.
over here, man. Like, if this movie licked my butt, I might like it.
Hey.
Like, goddamn, dude.
Do I need to take a shower first? I mean,
Yes, please. What the fuck?
some chicks are weird, man. I don't know.
Nobody wants to lick your fucking dingleberries, man. What the shit?
The weirder, the better, as far as I'm
take a
concerned.
Oh,
I'll look at them.
oh my God.
I love you so much. God damn it, I'm so jealous of Matt right now. Terrible. Canceled. All right, so let's start over.
Okay.
Man, this movie, I don't know what to say
Hold on.
about
I
this
didn't even do
movie.
the intro yet.
That's Patreon content.
This movie needs to pop in an extra finger.
Jesus. I went really fucking kinky. Weird.
We got people listening right
Fucking,
now.
I know they
Going,
don't.
what the fuck?
Fucking Nick's in there going, Jesus Christ. Canceling my patronage.
Nick's here. What's up, Nick? Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, if you want to support the podcast, go to saltynerd.discord.com and join our Discord community. It's a fantastic place. We love all of our Discord followers. You guys are awesome in there in the chat rooms. We have chats for C and for Foundation and Invasion and our S&P weeklies, our live shows. You guys can hang out there in the community. Our Patreon members are very, very active in our Discord app, and we love those guys for it. So thank you guys so much. It's a great place to hang out. And don't forget, one more time, please leave us a 5-star review if you've listened to the podcast thus far and you're on Apple iTunes iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review so we can get ourselves accredited with Rotten Tomatoes and skew those numbers. Those critics numbers are always kind of off. We're going to help fix that. So get us in there.
We're going to put some splats.
Yeah, we're going to put some salt on the freaking Rotten Tomatoes. All right. The next movie on our list, 2016's remake of Ghostbusters, female only. Go ahead, Jude. Take it away.
So excited.
Yes, I bet
As
you
a
are.
lady,
You felt underrepresented in the first movie?
listen, we're going to get into it.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. It's terrible. 2016 Ghostbusters, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour, 57 minutes. This had a budget of $144 million.
God damn.
What do you guys think this brought in?
$105 million. I have no idea.
I'm going to say
$12 million.
60 million.
$229 million. So people went
what?
to see this.
So what you're telling me is that John Campion went and watched this 30,000 times.
I would not say that this was a success. Is it?
It needed to hit 500
Yeah,
million to warrant a sequel.
It did not make. It didn't double its budget, so
Wow.
it's not what I would call a raging success. But
Thank
people went
God.
to see it. We did.
Did you really?
Yeah, I
Kiddish
dragged her
made
to
me.
the theater to watch
I
this.
honestly have no memory of having seen this in the theater, so he must have gotten me real loosey-gooseyed up before he popped me in that theater. That
All right.
sounded weird.
What's this movie?
Before he brought me to the theater.
Just for the record, this was my first watch today. I refused to go watch this thing. I refused to go watch
You
this
didn't
thing.
watch this movie?
No.
Bro.
No, I watched it
Oh.
today, but I hadn't seen it before.
Oh,
He
neither did I.
refused
Yeah.
up until
Yeah.
this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my first watch,
He
too.
watched
Yeah.
it for us.
Because
Okay.
I knew it was a pile of shit. Because all of my friends said, "Don't waste your money."
Yeah.
It's like, I'm okay.
Honey, you have friends?
Well, sort of.
What's this
Besides
movie?
us?
What's this movie about, Jude?
All right. When an evil incel wants revenge on everyone who was mean to him growing up, only 3 lady scientists plus Patty, who really knows New York, can save the cast of SNL. Thor is their dumb assistant who ends up possessed by the big bad, and the ladies must come to his rescue and bust the ghosts out of him and out of New York. They've got their ghost grenades, ghost guns, and ghost Indiana Jones whips, and they ain't afraid of no ghosts. Discuss.
Well, that's it.
That's it.
Wow, this movie sucks, dude.
This movie.
Not funny.
You're a bunch of misogynists.
This movie is the poster child for woke over the top,
bullshit.
preachy bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I like Melissa McCarthy. Kristen works pretty funny most of the time.
Really like all of the people in this movie.
Yeah.
But this is a great example of just trying to throw a group of people some representation without putting any fucking effort into
Yeah.
it, and it's fucking
You
infuriating.
know what I thought was really funny was the Chris Hemsworth character. And I'm like, okay, so they've got a super hot idiot assistant who they all just oogle and be like, oh my God, he's so freaking gorgeous. Who cares if he's dumb? And all I can do.
The joke is that only one of them thinks he's hot, and the rest of them are like, I don't get it.
Really?
That's the joke.
Oh, I didn't get that joke. But anyway, all I could think the whole time was like, what if these people, the people who make this movie, are like anti-male gays type people. They say that all the time on social media and whatnot. If you flip that scenario and it's a hot, dumb, blonde, gorgeous, big-breasted chick who just doesn't have 2 brain cells to rub together, and all the dudes are like, oh my God, she's so hot.
But we all would have thought that was dumb too.
Yeah, that would be over the top and dumb, but that's what they're trying to like.
Yeah.
Probably been all right with
They're
it. though.
trying to like fight it. They're like, oh, this is what we're fighting. We're fighting the misogyny. It's so cringy.
It's just a terrible movie, dude. I don't even know what to even say about this thing. It's just bad.
I was trying to keep track of how many times I laughed throughout it, and it was not a lot.
I had like one or
you know
two
what?
chuckles.
I enjoyed one part of this movie. And it was the first couple minutes. At the very beginning, when they were doing the tour of the mansion, and it felt kind of Ghostbustery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, we're going on this old creepy mansion, we're in a tour, and then some ghost shit happens, and then we go to the theme music. And if they had gone into Dan Aykroyd and the boys after that, I would have been totally fine with it.
I got you.
But they just went right into it's just
the soulless way that they reimagine this franchise. Like they they stole everything from the first movies and made it seem like they had just thought of it just now. Like, oh, that's a cool logo. Like it was spray painted on the wall.
We're gonna remake Ghostbusters with 3 comedians who happen to be female, 4 comedians, I guess. And
well, we talked about how
they're gonna have the SNL roots like the original Ghostbusters, and and it's just this movie.
We're gonna pay homage to the original while completely ignoring it.
Yeah.
And the fact that the original Ghostbusters all did cameos in this,
I could not believe that.
Pisses me off.
I could not believe that they showed up in this movie.
You could not believe. It's just like, fuck. Why are you in this movie? They're spitting on you. They're shitting on the Ghostbusters legacy. Don't be in this fucking movie. And then I see like Dan Aykroyd's like an executive producer. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say about it.
There's a story behind that, though.
Okay, well, I hope you fill me in.
All right, well, let me fill you in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick. So basically, one of the interesting things about this movie is that we got some really in-depth behind-the-scenes insight into how it got made due to the Sony email hack. So when North Korea hacked Sony's emails and like released them on the internet,
and I forgot all about.
We got to see, in Midnight's Edge, one of our friends over at that channel, like they've done extensive research on this stuff, and I highly recommend, if people are interested, go check out their channel and see their Ghostbusters 2016 coverage, because it's very extensive. But the Sony email hack showed us how they went about doing this, and basically, so originally Ghostbusters 3 was going to be like the thing where they bring in like a younger cast with like three guys and a girl, and it's kind of a passing of the baton where like the older Ghostbusters kind of bring in this new generation and train them and have them go off. And this was kind of like in development hell for a very long time. They were trying to get it made. And what happened was in 2014, Harold Ramis passed away, and that kind of changed the dynamic of everything. And Ivan Reitman kind of lost his passion for the project, and so he decided to step back and just be a producer. And at that point, the Sony higher-ups decided that they wanted to go in a completely different direction. The woman running Sony at the time wanted to do an all-female cast, and she wanted to bring on a comedian or a comedy director in order to do it. And so she brought on Paul Feig, who had done like all these like Melissa McCarthy movies that were these, kind of.
Did he do Bridesmaids?
Yes, he did Bridesmaids. And we got to see Paul Feig's pitches to the head of Sony in these emails, and it was obvious that he was like such the wrong guy for the job. But they had such a hard time dealing with all the original cast members that they wanted to cut them out by just doing like a reboot. And in order to get Bill Murray to come back in order to do a cameo, they actually threatened litigation against him. So they were threatening to sue Bill Murray unless he played ball. And so Bill Murray was just like, okay, fine, I'll show up for like a day. That
was the vibe I got from his character in this movie.
It was just phoned in.
Yeah, Bill Murray didn't want anything to do with this movie, but like they eventually kind of like strong-armed him into it.
I think he did allegedly. An interview where he said like it was actually like physically painful for him to be a part of this.
Yeah, I mean, like when he shows up in the movie, he just sits down. He's just kind of like straight face, and he's like putting no effort into his performance at all. But
he's Shatnering the whole thing.
Yeah, but like the whole point, like if you go back and you look at what Paul Feig originally wanted, in his initial email, he said, "I want to do a big dance number."
And they did do that.
Yeah, where all these people get possessed. He's like, "I want Peter Dinklage to be the main bad guy. I want the government to be attacking the Ghostbusters, making them look like fools, but secretly working with them, so that we can like continue to keep the Ghostbusters as underdogs." Basically, every bad idea he ever had for this movie was in that email.
Everything you're saying is making me hate this movie more.
Yeah, and the whole my biggest problem with this movie is that Sony and the people behind it looked at it as a comedy, and the original Ghostbusters is not a comedy. It's a fantasy adventure film that has comedic elements to it, but it's not meant to be like a laugh out loud comedy. In fact, a lot of the humor that works in the first movie is kind of like interpersonal humor. It's not like jokey stuff where you're like sitting there like belly laughing.
Yeah,
it's clever, funny character moments. And with this movie, basically, Paul Feig brought in all these like improvers, and they literally didn't have they didn't follow the script. They would just sit there, and Paul Feig could be like, "Okay, riff,"
Well, that's what the first movie. That's one of the charms of the first movie is. But I mean, I think they were just better at their job.
The first movie was more talented.
Yeah,
people.
I think it was just better people doing.
You could see like every scene. Like you can pick out every improv line in this version of the movie, just based off of like how terrible it is.
Okay, but the first movie, they had chemistry with each other.
Yeah.
And I don't think that this cast is less talented. I think that they had less chemistry and they weren't able to just riff off of each other the way that the fucking Blues Brothers could. You don't get the reference because you're a baby. But there was this franchise also called Blues Brothers.
Had Dan Aykroyd. Yeah, no shit.
It was really good.
I mean, like this whole movie, the biggest crime was like they tried to make it a comedy, which it shouldn't have been a comedy. And it was unfunny. It wasn't funny.
100%.
Yeah. Like none of the jokes landed. The script was stupid. And it got super political. Like I can remember when this movie came out, and the Ghostbusters were shilling for Hillary Clinton because it was an election year, and so instantly they're alienating like part of their audience that doesn't agree with that stuff. Then they went like super heavy on attacking the people because when they released the initial trailer for this movie, still to this day it holds the record for the most dislikes of any movie trailer ever put on YouTube.
Yeah,
and so like they started attacking the fans who didn't like that trailer, which actually misrepresents the movie because it made it seem like a sequel as opposed to like a reboot.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why I got so much hate. But like they actually, this is one of the first films to actively attack the fan base that it was trying to appeal to by calling them racist, misogynists, like all this stuff. And the director himself, Paul Feig, would go on Twitter and like he like mangolded it completely.
Yeah. If
like,
you don't like this movie, then you're freaking toxic.
Yeah. You're like he was literally calling people assholes.
Yeah.
And it was just like and Sony took in the marketing of this weird position where like they literally were calling their audience misogynist. Like, if you don't go see this movie, you're a misogynist. You hate women. Was this
the same movie where, I forget who it was saying, like, if you hate women in power, then don't go see this movie?
Yep. No, that was Terminator.
Oh, okay.
That was Terminator.
It was all part of it.
It was all part of this whole thing. It happened all around that same time.
This was the start of this trend, though, where basically where movies started attacking the fan base for not liking the choices they were making. Right. And that's what this movie's biggest sin is that it's disrespectful not only to the source material, but to the people who love the source material.
I disagree. I think that this movie's greatest sin was it not being good.
There's only one thing that I really liked about this movie.
I'm surprised there's something.
There's one thing I like about this movie. I like the design of the ghosts.
Okay, yeah.
I like the cinematography in this.
Yeah, movie. The cinematography was good.
I thought the ghosts themselves were they looked good. I liked, especially at the end.
The guns that they used, all the effects.
No.
You didn't like that stuff?
No.
I thought that looked good for like an updated version.
So many weapons.
They do have a lot of weapons.
I thought they did the whole, and this wasn't around at that time, but they looked like they were doing the 25% different thing.
Oh, okay.
With everything Ghostbusters related, from Ecto 1 to the guns to their jumpsuits.
Yeah, the Ecto 1 thing pissed me off.
Everything was a little bit different, and I didn't like that. What I liked was like the design of like the mansion ghost. I like the design. I like the look of the subway ghost.
What about the Fall Out Boy theme song?
I didn't really like the dragon demon looking thing at the concert.
Oh,
but I did like the subway and the mansion.
That was another thing that Paul Feig had in that initial email of his, where the dragon ghost is an alien.
Yeah,
he was like, there are alien ghosts because not only like humans aren't the only ones who can go to the afterlife.
Oh, Jesus.
And
dumb.
Yeah, I mean, like there are certain moments in this. I actually think that Leslie Jones's character was the best part of this movie.
Really?
I enjoyed her character more than any of the others. I found Kate McKinnon just grating every time she was on screen.
I love Kate McKinnon. I hated her in this.
Yeah, she wasn't.
I think that she is a hilarious person, but not in this at all.
That's how I feel about.
I hated her character through the whole thing. It was so forced and over the top and just like, I'm being funny.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny at all.
That's how I feel about Melissa McCarthy. A lot of her movies I find very, very funny. This one, I don't know if she wasn't around the right crowd or.
Typically with her, like, her comedy is like, I know what I'm getting when I'm watching a Melissa McCarthy movie. So I'm like, I know what I'm getting in the realm of that kind of comedy.
Okay.
But and like I'm set for it. It's like that dumb humor. But like on paper, this should work with this cast and with like the people involved. But it doesn't. It just fucking doesn't. There's no chemistry. It's not funny. And it's just a fucking bummer.
I was like, we already talked about this. I'm not nostalgic about the first movie at all. But when I was watching this and I was like, oh man, they outright stole some shit with no, like, I feel like they didn't deserve to use the things that they were using.
This movie is just a giant.
It's a ripoff.
It's a giant virtue signaling ripoff.
Yeah.
It's trash. Everything about it.
Let's talk about the science. Because I think one thing that really works in the first one is that we start off with our scientists and we know that there is science involved. And they kind of make it work throughout the movie. With this, it's just sort of like thrown at you and it's like,
it's just there.
Here's this weapon.
Yeah.
But like, there's no like story or like, like build up behind how any of this happened. And it's just not believable. It's just like, here's a weapon. And oh God, it just doesn't work. And I can't explain my furiousness or the reason behind why it doesn't work. But like, just fucking watch the movie and you'll know it doesn't work.
Like I normally don't like to root against movies, but I'm so glad that this movie underperformed because it killed all the plans for like the franchise based off of this film.
Yeah.
And I feel like now they're resetting it with Ghostbusters Afterlife, which we're going to be reviewing. Next week. I'm hoping that kind of like cleans the taste of the previous two Ghostbusters out of my mouth, because I really want a good Ghostbusters film. And if this film had been good, I've been like, you know what? I was wrong.
It could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been.
This movie is terrible.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies that actually gets worse the more times you watch it. Because I've seen this movie maybe like 6-7 times.
Jesus.
By now.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, like I own it.
Are you okay?
So that's what we watched. Like I went and saw it in the theater. I'm a Ghostbusters fan. I wanted this movie to be good. I wanted to like it. But every time I see it, I just get more and more disappointed with how terrible it was. And to me, like this is the movie that killed Paul Feig. Like it was the movie that up to that point, he had been kind of just like this harmless comedic director. But now he's like an active asshole who doesn't deserve to make any movies, who doesn't deserve a career, in my opinion. He like the disrespect he showed for his audience, for the fans of this material, was above and beyond anything I'd ever seen before. It was literally insulting to an entire generation.
I totally agree with you, but I feel like I have a different take on it because I'm a woman with a vagina. And newsflash, I have a vagina. So I feel like this is one of those things that really infuriates me as a woman, because you have decided to like make this franchise, this existing franchise, and you're going to spin it to be about women in power. And you're so fucking lazy about making it that it doesn't work. And anyone who doesn't like it is wrong. And it's just so fucking infuriating because you didn't even bother to make it good.
Yeah. Like if you're going to do a woman empowering movie, make it freaking good so it works.
It makes me feel like you are so full of shit. You're not trying to make a woman empower movie. Otherwise you would have made it good. And if I don't say I like it, then I'm against woman in power. And that's fucking infuriating because I'm not.
Yeah, it's like that movie, like we talk about chick wick movies. That one that doesn't work, that's over the top and ridiculous, and then that one Kate,
because it's a male bash movie. It's not a chick wick movie.
And that one Kate that actually did work and it was really well done. And it was a lot of fun.
Like we don't hate women on this show. We just want to show movies that make sense. Everything about this movie, every male
is a complete douche.
Is a dipshit.
Yeah.
I mean, and even the male ghosts, even in the end when they're killing the big bad, the big Ghostbuster that looks like the logo, they fucking shoot him in the nuts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With the proton packs.
You don't write.
Come on.
You don't write a smart or powerful woman by making every man around her stupid and weak. No. That's infuriating.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I often wonder about the symbolism of the third act, where they're literally fighting the ghost logo that represents the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Right.
By shooting him in the dick.
Yeah. It's terrible.
Like 4 women shooting the representation of this franchise in the dick.
It's so over the top.
It's really
and it's a very blatant metaphor right there.
Yeah. Like I'm not even sure who this movie is for, because like the comedy in it is very low brow. And like if you know what women find funny, it's not kicking men in the dick. We don't like. I've never been like, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't work for anyone.
If you look at Bridesmaid, it's like Melissa McCarthy like pooping into the fucking sink where she's like, it's coming out of me like lava. It's like that's not typically like female humor either.
No.
You know?
But that movie works.
I don't know if it does.
It does.
I personally don't like it.
1-star crap fest.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100% 1-star crap fest. I'll never watch this movie again.
Yeah, I never will.
Not on purpose anyway. So
Jude, 1-star crap fest.
It's a 1.5-star crap fest because, as you know, for me to give something a 1-star rating, it has to make me angry to watch it. And this bums me out and it annoys me, but it doesn't infuriate me. So it's 1.5 stars.
okay.
All right.
Hey, man, the rules don't matter.
Okay. Kadish, 1-star crap fest. Or 0-star. Have you ever given something? I think you gave something a 0-star
he
one time.
has.
Yeah. But this movie is weird in the sense that I have a hard time separating my analysis of it as a film versus what I know about the people behind it and how they treated the audience. Like if I divorce myself from Paul Feig's actions and like the Sony Studios, like how they vilified the fan base for this movie and stuff like that, I feel like I'd give it a 2-star just simply because like it's a pretty looking movie. I like the people who are in the movie. I see what they were going for. I didn't agree with it, but like I could probably go along with it. But the fact that it was such a toxic film and like the people behind it just hated the people that they were making the movie for puts a sour taste in my mouth. Like when Jude says like this movie didn't make me angry, the people making this movie made me angry. And I have a hard time divorcing my feelings from that. So I have to agree with the 1-star crap fest. Like this movie is a piece of shit. The people who made it were pieces of shit. I hate them. I hate this movie. It almost single-handedly destroyed a franchise that I grew up loving. So yeah, 1-star crap fest.
Yeah. It was a painful thing to watch, and it was so blatantly over the top. The perfect example at the end, you're literally destroying the logo of the original franchise by shooting it in the nuts.
Yep.
That's this movie in a nutshell.
There you go.
Real quick before we polish this off, I just wanted to ask you, because we know we have a new movie coming out, Ghostbusters Afterlife. As somebody who I just watched the first one for the first time, I've grown up with this franchise around, but I've never been into it. I watched a trailer for Afterlife recently, and I was like, oh, shit, that looks cool as
good,
hell.
right?
Like, I know trailers are supposed to do that.
Right.
So I have to temper my expectations a little bit. But when I watched that trailer, I was like, that looks freaking dope.
Feels a little Ghostbustery.
Feels
right?
Ghostbustery. It feels like it's really trying to pay respect to the original and the original cast, the original Ghostbusters.
I feel like that movie's going to do well. We're going to go watch it.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the reason why I feel like it's going to do well. My wife had zero interest in watching this bullshit 2016 movie. But I asked her, I go, hey, I'm going to go watch Ghostbusters next week. You want to go? Ghostbusters? Well, yeah. So this movie, the normies want to watch this movie.
Yeah.
This movie's going to do well.
I love how you use your wife as a barometer.
Well, I do. I absolutely do. She hates nerd movies. Hates them. She goes to watch like superhero movies and stuff with me to take a nap. Only to spend time with me. That's the only reason she goes. But she legitimately wants to see this movie. And to me, that tells me that this movie's probably going to do pretty well, at least on its first weekend. So we'll see.
Paul Rudd is almost as much of a national treasure to me as like some of the original characters or actors from the first movie. That dude can do no wrong. Yeah. He's freaking hilarious.
We'll
we know people who've actually seen the full movie and they had nothing but glowing things to say about it. So they're like, if you love the first movie, you're going to love this movie. Okay.
I'm trying not to be influenced because I want to give my own opinion, but I'm looking forward to this. I'm just looking forward to it.
I will say I did not realize that you had never seen Ghostbusters before, and I'm very relieved that you have now seen the original before you watch the new one. Because had I found out weeks from now that was the first Ghostbusters movie you ever watched, I would have flipped the table.
If this would not have been planned, 100% that would have happened.
Listen, we've talked about this. If you have your homework, when new shit comes out, we have to be better about asking him if he's seen the old shit.
You don't go watch part 4 before you watch part 1.
For people who don't know, Alex has a bad habit of watching the sequels before the original and then hating the sequels because he didn't understand the references to the original. He's done this multiple times.
He makes us crazy.
Listen, I'm sorry. Coming to America 2 was not funny.
Stop trying.
The first one was funny.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, listen or watch our review of Coming to America, the sequel to Coming to America, to get this joke, because this was the first time
We're still mad about it.
Alex actually watched the sequel because he wanted to see if the sequel could stand on its own.
It didn't.
It's a sequel. It's not
It wasn't
supposed to
funny.
stand on its own.
You're making me mad again.
It wasn't funny.
Let's move on.
Stop
It was
trying to
all
justify
it was.
I gotta pee. Let's go.
Okay. All right, guys.
I've
That's
asked
it.
you to leave several times today.
That's it for today's podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you want to join our club membership, go to saltynerdclub.com. Help support us. Don't forget, please leave a 5-star review and make sure that you guys help us out a little bit doing that so we can get into that Rotten Tomatoes crowd and skew the numbers in our favor. Vader, where can they find you on the socials, buddy?
You can find me at Matt Vader 74 on the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And yeah, that's about it. That's where I'm at.
Cool. Jude?
You can find me at I am Jude Juju on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok.
And Matthew Kadish.
You can find me at Matthew Kadish, Kadish on Twitter, and kadishbooks.com takes you to our Amazon page. And please check us out on Facebook by looking at our Salty Nerd Facebook group.
All right, guys, I'm your host, Alex Salty Nerd. You can join me on Discord, saltynerddiscord.com. That is where the action happens. We have a lot of fun, watch parties, video games, and a ton of different really cool chats. So thank you guys who are already in that Discord community. Thank you guys. We really love hanging out with you. That's my go-to social media app. All right, everybody, that is it for the Salty Nerd podcast today. Join us next week, where we're talking about, it's like Thanksgiving and stuff like that.
You're not going to be here.
I'm going to be pretending.
Holiday horror.
I'm going to be pretending like I'm homeless out in the woods somewhere. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, we'll catch you later. Stay salty, my friends.